All right, guys, we're going to get this kicked off. Looks like we've got a good group here, just like last time. So it's great that people are taking interest sort of in the world of PPC and advertising online. I've got with me yet again sort of my right-hand man, kind of the guy that, uh, you know, just dives into PPC all day. One of the best PPC guys, in my opinion, in the world and he actually works right here, which is awesome. Adam Hogue.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing out there?
Cool. We today are going to talk about Gmail sponsored promotions. It's the beta that I've sort of been teasing on email. But first, we'll introduce ourselves. I am Jordan Hall. If you guys don't know me through our email list or have heard any webinars before, I used to work at Infusionsoft up until about 6 years ago or so, and now I am the founder of Site Traffic Control. I started working at PPC managing Infusionsoft's ad budget way back in the day. It was a big ad budget back then, and I'm sure it has probably at least quadrupled since then. But ever since we've been working with Infusionsoft clients, non-Infusionsoft clients, and we have gotten to work with a lot of different industries. And then we've got to test a lot of different ad platforms and then avenues to really advertise. And that's why we're excited to kind of present on what we're presenting on today. Adam, why don't you introduce yourself real quick and then we'll sort of jump in.
Sure, my name is Adam Hogue. I am a digital project manager here at Site Traffic Control. I've been with Jordan for about 4 or 5 years now at this point, but I've been working with Adwords for about 10 years. I get kind of the cool opportunity of working on lot of larger accounts here at Site Traffic Control, which is awesome because it exposes me to a lot of different ad platforms. But with AdWords specifically, we get the great opportunity to try a lot of different stuff and to be privileged to a bunch of the betas that smaller advertisers don't always get to take part in. And so I really enjoy the AdWords aspect of trying things, trying new things and different strategies and all of that. And I think we've got a cool topic for you guys today because it is new for a lot of people. These are kind of ads you've probably been seeing for a while, maybe noticing, maybe not. But we've actually been working with them for about 6 or 7 months now.
And before we kind of get kicked off, I want to mention about questions. I want this to be interactive, so we're going to have a session at the end of the slides to answer questions. But if we have any as we go, I'll be monitoring it. We can stream them if they're relevant to kind of what we're talking about at the time. We can hit the questions sort of as they come. So feel free to just jump in if you guys have any questions at all. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to define what Gmail sponsored promotions is, and then we're going to dive a little bit into the nitty gritty of creating a campaign and walking you through that. And it gets a little. I don't want to say complex. I mean, it'll get involved. So if you have any questions as we go, feel free to just jump in whenever you want. But at first, let's define what Gmail sponsored promotions is, because if you guys know anything about AdWords or Google Display, uh, it's not a new thing for you to be able to advertise on Gmail. But the way that Google is doing it now, the new offering they have, has sort of turned that world over on its ear. It allows us to have new ad dimensions. It allows us to be able to target a lot better than previously. So, as to not kind of spoil it, I'll let Adam sort of explain here.
Yeah, as Jordan mentioned, advertising in Gmail has kind of been a staple in AdWords for quite a long time, and is one of the ways that Google's really able to make Gmail profitable. I mean, they essentially have this amazing email software, but the trade-off is you do see ads in them, and you do kind of get your content kind of processed by the system to give you really relevant ads. So in the past, through AdWords, you could run typical kind of text display ads in Gmail, where it'd be the standard headline, 2 lines of ad copy, and then the display URL there. And it was all very, I mean, you could run some of the different contextual keywords and kind of related to your email content and all that. But it wasn't that all different from what you would see in the just display network throughout Google. But in early 2014, they kind of did away with those those types of ads. And what they did is they replaced them with a product called Gmail Sponsor Promotions. And so these ads are different than just the display text ads you were seeing before. So what they're made up of, if you're a Gmail user and you've seen kind of their system changed a little bit where they have the primary tab and then they added the promotions and the social tab. Under that promotion tab where a lot of kind of marketing emails and things were getting funneled into, you started to see these little teaser ads, and they'd be right at the top of your inbox, and you typically see one or two of them with just a little image and then a company name and almost like a subject line and a little bit of content, kind of like you would see from an email. So these are the Gmail Sponsor Promotions ads, and so you see that teaser ad. If you click it, it opens up an expanded ad, which a lot of times is a large graphic or image, or sometimes they'll be a little bit more text heavy. At times it can be kind of HTML. But these are the new Gmail Sponsor Promotions ad. And for a while, since they've kind of switched over from the old way of doing ads in Gmail to the new Gmail Sponsor Promotions, it was a beta product for a long time, and so it was very limited to large advertisers, big brands, and you see like in this example here, we have Walmart. I saw, because I've been looking at these for a while, I saw a lot of like online universities, people getting for car insurance quotes, car insurance companies, and even saw trailers for like Marvel movies or the James Bond movies or some of those real big blockbusters. So it's kind of limited towards very big brands. And the great thing now is that it's not just big brands, that this beta is kind of opened up. It's no longer a beta. It's available to all advertisers in AdWords. And so anybody can do it. And so it's kind of a really cool opportunity where it's something new. Not everybody really knows how to do it or even that you can do it. And so it's a great opportunity for people who are kind of early adopters with this type of marketing.
So I sort of delivered. I sort of teased in the emails and on the landing page that we sent, that hey, there's a reason that we want to have a webinar about this. I mean, there's a reason why this is important, and so it's important. And we'll kind of Adam will hit on some of these concepts here, but just from a 30,000 foot view, this is a new ad platform, and some of the reasons that this is a great platform is that it's cheaper traffic than we've seen in a really long time. It gives us unique targeting capabilities, and it allows us to create sort of a disruptive experience because the ad types are so much different. This is unlike anything that you've seen with Google AdWords, Google Display, and all that. I mean, this is something that people see it. They notice it. I mean, banner blindness is a thing when it comes to AdWords ads on search or display ads. So for the reasons that this is so powerful is because it's a Google product, it's a Google ad unit, but it doesn't look like it. And so Adam will kind of go into a little bit of detail on that here.
Yeah, one of the things Jordan mentioned that's kind of my first point is that the CPCs right now are really cheap. And that comes with a caveat of you pay when somebody clicks on that teaser ad. So you pay when somebody opens up kind of the expanded ad. And I'll go back real quick. And so you can see the Walmart grocery free same-day pickup teaser ad. Somebody clicks that, it opens up the expanded ad. That's when you're paying your cost. And so it's a little bit different than traditional AdWords where you pay, somebody clicks, and they go to your landing page. And so you have to keep that in mind. It is very cheap CPCs, but the trade-off is that you have to present your offer in a very strong manner in that expanded ad to get them to take the action you want, because there's the possibility that they could click and open up the ad and never actually go to your website. So you do have to be a little bit careful, but for people who are kind of savvy and able to create some good messaging there, it does offer some opportunities for some really cheap traffic to your site relative to kind of what you might be paying in the typical search or display networks. And with that, part of it, this is brand new, like I mentioned. I mean, this is just now opening up. I mean, I think maybe it was a couple weeks ago that this became available to everybody. And so the competition is still really low. One, because it's new, but also a lot of advertisers don't know how to set up a GSP campaign. It's not the most intuitive process. You'll see as we're going to go through a walkthrough here, and it's a bit complex. I mean, there's some things that don't really make sense. That's why we kind of want to give you guys a step-by-step process. And then people who can figure it out, they don't always know how to be successful with it because it is different. It's not the same type of advertising you've seen in the past. And so the competition is low at this point. Not everybody knows how to do it successfully. And so this really kind of rewards people who are able to do it. And you can see a lot of great traffic from it.
And guys, keep in mind here that these barriers to entry, anytime a new ad platform comes along, barriers to entry are a great thing for marketers and for business owners like us. If we can sort of navigate those barriers to entry, we're willing to do what 95% of our competition is not willing to do. Back when remarketing very first came out, it was next to impossible to correctly configure a remarketing campaign. It was next to impossible to understand the strategy and know how to do it correctly. Now it's widespread. Everyone's doing it. Competition has gone up on the display network. It's still really good to do, but man, if you jumped in that first 6 months that remarketing was a thing, before people knew what remarketing was, before users or end users knew what remarketing was, I mean, that's really where you're going to get benefit. And the same thing applies with what we're talking about today. As Adam sort of goes in and describes how to build out this campaign, you're going to think, wow, there's quite a few hoops to jump through. Well, these hoops are a good thing for us, for people that are educated on this, because again, 95% of the competition is not willing to do that. Sorry to cut you off, Adam.
No, no, that's great to reinforce that point. So going on with kind of what makes it so powerful, and this is something we haven't hit on yet. The targeting is something that you just can't do anywhere else. And so you have the normal targeting that you can kind of do through display campaigns with contextual keywords, kind of relating to people's emails. And I think I've heard that it considers like the last 300 emails that somebody's gotten in their inbox. So if they got an email 5 years ago that's in their archive somewhere, it's not going to consider that when it's kind of targeting these ads. But I mean, contextual keywords, interests, demographics, geographic location, and device targeting, of course. All that can be done through the typical display network, and it can be done through Gmail sponsor promotions as well. But the part that I think is especially cool and really kind of makes this stand out is that you can target email domains. And I don't necessarily mean the email domains of the person who's seeing the ad, but the domain of the emails they're receiving, so the people who are sending them emails. And so when you think about it, if you could target all the people on your competitors' email lists, all the people that are in complementary businesses' email lists, or at least anybody who receives it through Gmail. That's pretty powerful. And we use this a lot ourselves for advertising our service. We're a digital marketing agency. We do a lot of AdWords work. We do work with Facebook ads. We do work with Bing ads. And so we're able to target anybody who receives an email from Google AdWords. And we're able to target anybody who's receiving an email from Facebook ads. And these are people who we may not be able to reach out to any other way. I mean, we a lot of times we have search campaigns built out, so we have to wait for somebody to search for AdWords help or how to build an AdWords campaign or how to create Gmail sponsor promotions or something along those lines. Or we're going to kind of catch them while they're on a blog or on a content-related site about AdWords. But in this case, we can reach out to them before they're even kind of thinking about looking for some of that information by targeting the emails that they're actually receiving. So there is a whole lot of opportunity here that just isn't available through typical AdWords ads and really isn't available through other ad services as well.
And here's where it gets a little involved right here. How do you set up the GSP campaign? And like I said, it's not super intuitive right now. And again, we should take that as a good thing. I mean, it's to our advantage that it's not super intuitive, because soon it will be. At some point, Google will streamline ad creation. They will streamline the way that this is done, and then the party's over from a cheap, CPC standpoint. So here's where I think it's important to sort of tune in on this. And just to reiterate, we are recording this webinar, so we'll be sending out the replay after this is done. So Adam, take it over.
Yeah, so don't feel like you need to write down all the step-by-step instructions of kind of how this works. Some of it is a little bit more basic, but then there's some confusing, complex steps as well that just it's hard to understand why you would do that and why it's set up that way. The good thing is that when you're setting up a GSP campaign, the first few steps are exactly like you'd set up any other display campaign. So if you have an AdWords account and you've created a display campaign, or really even it's not that different from kind of setting up the search campaign itself. Um, so when you log into your account and you're in kind of the campaigns tab there, you just want to hit that plus campaign button, choose the option for display network only, and that's going to bring you into the kind of the campaign creation screen. The campaign type will already be set to display network. AdWords has this new thing that's been around for a couple months now where they ask you to set a marketing objective. It doesn't really offer any benefit if you know what you're doing, and if you don't know what you're doing, it can often kind of lead you even more astray. So anytime you create a campaign, I'd recommend just doing no marketing objective, just so you can kind of be very particular in the way you want to set things up. But in this case, especially, you don't need to set up the marketing objective because we know exactly what we're going to do with kind of how we're going to set up the GSP campaigns. So really, you just enter the campaign name, select no marketing objective there, and then from there, you kind of just want to set up the campaign settings that configure best to how you want to run your campaign. And it's just like any other normal display campaign. You can set the location targeting. So we are an agency that's based out of kind of the Phoenix area, located in downtown Tempe. So we run a GSP campaign and actually display campaigns as well locally, because one of the ways that we're able to differentiate ourselves in the Phoenix market is that we're local. Hey, you can come meet with us locally, meet with us personally. And so we would set that as kind of the Phoenix area. Language, I mean, typically just English is fine unless you're kind of expanding out into some international campaigns. And then the bid strategy and budget, you probably want to set a bid strategy. Initially, it's going to be CPC based, cost per click, and then budgets. I'd recommend initially being conservative. It can be, I mean, this is something that if you haven't run it before, then you don't want to set an aggressive budget and you kind of create this campaign and then wake up the next morning and you spend it all right away. So I just recommend being conservative there, and setting that a bit lower than maybe you would for another new campaign.
And that's
Once
just
your campaign setting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jordan.
No, I was just gonna say that. I mean, that's a best practice really for any sort of ad campaign you're working with. You know, you launch anything. I mean, in a conservative budget, at least initially, is sort of the way to do it because if it gets out of control, it's going to turn you off to advertising really quickly if you wake up the next day and then, a month's worth of budget. So.
Absolutely. So once your campaign settings are all kind of in line and you got them the way you want, just go ahead and click Save, Continue, and that's going to take you to the ad group setup. And the ad group is where you're going to set kind of your bid levels. It's where you're going to set the different types of targeting you want, and from there it kind of narrows in on what's starting to be a GSP campaign. So initially you just want to give a name to your ad group. In this case, like we did email competitor targeting. Set your bid, kind of your starting CPC bid, and keep in mind again that this is for somebody to open up that teaser ad, and so you want that to be lower than what a normal display ad bid would be, and certainly lower than what a search ad display or search ad bid would be. It's hard to give a real definite recommendation of what you should start at. I mean, if a good cost per lead for you is $100, maybe you want to start around $3 or $4. If a good cost per lead for you is $10, then you might want to start around 20 cents or so, or 25 cents. And so there's a big scale there, but you kind of have to determine where you're going to fall upon it based on what that ultimate cost per lead goal is going to be. The next place is where you're going to start setting up your display targeting. And this is, again, you can use standard targeting through keywords or interests or some of those options. The way I think what's most powerful, as I mentioned, is targeting email senders. And so what you do, there's not an option to enter these in as email domains or as domains. It's a little bit counterintuitive, or it doesn't make a lot of sense at this point, but you really just enter them in as display keywords, and you don't include the first part of the email. So if it's info at site traffic control or Jordan at sitetrafficcontrol.com, you wouldn't include that info, that Jordan, or the @ sign. All you do is include the actual domain part. So in this, excuse me, in this case, we work with a lot of home cash buyers, so the people who go out there and they buy houses for cash. And you see a lot of signs on the road and advertising and things for a company called We Buy Ugly Houses. And so their kind of parent company, the domain they email out for it is called homevestors.com. And there's a lot of these national networks that kind of buy these houses for cash. And so I've got some of them in the example over there. I've got homevestors.com, fasthomeoffer.com, housebuyernetwork.com, propertybuyersgroup.com, opendoor.com. And so the way it's going to be said is anybody who's getting an email from one of these people in our target area or one of these senders is going to be eligible to see our ads. And so the great thing about this is in a lot of ways they've done the legwork to get this person on their list, and now we get to go in and they're already kind of pre-qualified as being interested in exactly what kind of our clients are going to be offering. Now the second step, and this is kind of where one of the keys comes in of the targeting, is you need to set your initial targeting, but then you need to set a second level of targeting as well. And there's a little link that's going to say like narrow your targeting further. So you want to set that second level of targeting as a placement option. And under placements, the only thing you want to put is going to be mail.google.com. And this is going to tell AdWords that the kind of initial targeting, the domains, the keywords, the interest, the only place you want to run these is on mail.google.com. So if you don't include this, your ads aren't going to show at all, because we're going to be creating a very particular type of ad. And without that placement in place, the mail.google.com, it's not going to show at all. So that is one of the keys that you have to have in place to kind of run these campaigns.
And real quick, we had a question. The asker is Doc Lowe, but they asked if we would go into more detail on email domains and how we sort of set that up. So Adam sort of covered that in this last slide. If that sort of sheds light on it, let me know. If not, we'll go into a little more detail on that. Okay.
Sorry, Jordan, was that question while I was going through the slide, or was that
No,
previous?
it was prior, but as you went over
Okay,
it, I was thinking, yeah, it seemed like you went over it fairly decently. But if it's not, and he just said that that was good, so
okay. Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit confusing too how you put these in as display keywords, and I think that's something that'll change as Google polishes this up. But it could be a year, it could be 2 years. But yeah, just put them in the display keyword targeting there, and that'll kind of get it all set up for you.
Cool.
Okay, so once you go through all these ad group settings, you set the CPC bid, you set the targeting, you narrow the targeting to make sure you include that placement of mail.google.com. This is where it starts to get a little weird when people are doing the campaign setup.
It hasn't gotten weird yet.
Well, this is the part where people really get lost.
Okay.
Because what happens is you click save, save my ad group and continue, and then you get to this screen right here. And normally it would make perfect sense. Oh, you created your campaign settings, you created your ad group settings, now you're going to create your ads. The problem is that the option to create a Gmail sponsored promotion is not available from this screen. So this gives you the option of, you can create an image ad like a banner, or you can create a text ad like a typical that you'd see in the display or search network. So there's no option to create a Gmail sponsored promotion. So at this point, you've created your campaign, you created the ad group there. Now you actually need to go in and click the Skip Ad Creation button. And you'll see that, if I go back, you'll see that down at the bottom next to Save Ads. So you don't want to create any ads because they're not going to be eligible to run on Gmail. So you just skip the ad creation. Go back into kind of your campaign screen and navigate back into this new campaign you created. Go into the ad group's ads tab. So your campaign, ad group, and then in the ads tab. And there won't be anything there yet. So what you're going to do is now we're going to go ahead and create an ad. And this will allow us to go and create a Gmail sponsored promotion for this ad group. So you hit that plus ad button, and there's going to be an option down there. You'll see text ad, you'll see image ad, and then what we're going to select is ad gallery. So this kind of gives us some different types of ads that we can run outside of the typical text and image area. Once you hit the ad gallery, you're going to see those options, and this is where, and now it starts to become a little more clear. Then at this point, if you've jumped through all these hoops, it's a little bit simpler, and it's kind of laid out. So you actually see an option for Gmail ads. So you want to choose the Gmail ads option now. And you're going to be given a few different types of Gmail ads. Any of them ultimately will work. There's going to be Gmail image templates, Gmail single promotion, and a couple others. There's going to be a multi-product promotion, and there's also going to be an HTML option. Unless you have advanced HTML knowledge or you're selling multiple e-commerce products that you want to target very to the same people, the two that you're going to want to focus on are going to be either the image template or the single promotion. The image template essentially allows you to load up an entire image as your expanded ad, and it's kind of what I recommend that people go with. If you have a little bit of graphic design skill, it's simpler and allows a little bit more flexibility than what you might be doing with the single promotion. And the single promotion gives you an option for kind of a small product or company image, and then it'll give you a field to write a headline, it'll give you a field to write some body copy, and a field to include a button. I think they just don't look as nice. They don't look as sharp as what you can do in an image template. But if you don't have any graphic design skills, they will work. It can still be effective. But just my recommendation, just from a design standpoint, is kind of going with that image template. So assuming, in this case, let's pretend that we hit the image template option. Here's where you actually go through building the ad. And we're not going to go step by step into every single one of these, because the nice thing is you get to this point and it is pretty straightforward. You have fields for your advertiser name, for your the subject of kind of the teaser ad, the description, and then you get to upload your image right here. So in this case, we have a large image that says, "We buy any house in any condition fast. Want to sell your house fast? No fees, agents, and no commissions." And a button below. So this is actually all one big piece of image. It's not designed through kind of their builder, and it just looks better than it would if we tried to do it through their builder, even though we could more or less accomplish the same thing. But yeah, you just go through, type in the kind of fields you want, play around with it a little bit, and the nice thing is as you type it in, it'll populate in the ad preview here, so you can see where everything's going, you can see the character limits, you can see kind of what's showing up where, and play with it a little bit from there. And you might want to come up with some different options, maybe create a few of these to test and see which ones can get kind of the best open rates and the best click-through rates to your website, and ultimately the best conversion rates.
So when we get here, this looks considerably more intuitive than what we were kind of looking at prior. Would it be fair to say that once we get to this step, then everything sort of starts clearing up a little bit? Because it was a bit convoluted until we got here, but now this sort of makes sense. I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah, very much so, very much so. Once you hit that ad, the ad gallery, and you see the Gmail ads, then it gets to be a lot simpler, where you get to choose your type of Gmail ad, and then you get to build. It's got a very easy kind of builder there. So from that point, it's a lot simpler. And then once you kind of have the ad laid out as you want, you have the landing page and everything set, then all you have to do is save it. And if your targeting was set up at the ad group level, then you're going to be good to go. Your ad will start running, no problem.
Awesome.
So I know that's a little bit complex. Some of those steps kind of don't make sense necessarily, and that's where Jordan said we'll be sending this out, and we'll probably write a blog on it as well, so you can kind of have step-by-step instructions of what exactly you need to do to get that campaign and ad group set up. We do want to offer some best practices here, both at the campaign creation and at the ad creation level. So starting out, for creating a campaign and when you're setting up your targeting, be very specific with who you're going after. Try not to go with super broad audiences, because the opportunity, or I guess the problem that people run into with GSP a lot of times is that you pay when somebody opens up your expanded ad. And so it's easy to spend a lot of money and never have a single person kind of hit your website. And so you want to make sure the people you're targeting are very qualified. And that's where I think the email targeting gets more specific than some of the other display options that are out there. And with that, though you want to be specific, you got to also make sure you kind of have a bit of a reach out there. And so the email domain idea, when you're kind of targeting competitors or targeting complementary companies, is a great option, but it's only a great option if they're actually going to send out a lot of emails. So small-time emailers, small businesses that maybe send out a couple emails a year or only have a very small list probably aren't going to be a good fit for this. And so think of the idea of Infusionsoft.com, that domain, versus our company, SiteTrafficControl.com. Infusionsoft probably has a customer list that is in the I don't know, Jordan, how big would you think their email list is
I,
that they
I
send
don't
out?
know. My feelings are hurt. You're making us feel small time here. You
Well, I
know?
mean, we're a boutique ad agency. We email to a few thousand people, but I mean,
No,
Infusionsoft is probably in the hundreds of thousands as
hundreds
well.
of thousands,
So,
easily, if not millions, with
and
Infusionsoft.
so when you're targeting GSP ads, a couple thousand, a few thousand probably is a bit small. When you're in the hundreds of thousands, that's when it really starts to make sense, and you can be targeted, but have a pretty wide net as well as far as the number and kind of size of the list you're going after.
And as a comparison, if you guys have ever advertised on a Facebook custom audience before, you know how much mileage you get out of when you load an email list of 4,000 versus how much mileage you get out of loading an email list that has 200,000. I mean, it's just night and day. You can drive a ton of
Mhm.
traffic with that. 4,000 in the grand scheme of things, that sounds like a lot of contacts. It sounds like a large demographic, but when it comes down to it, in the world of advertising, that's just not a really significant number. So, I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you have the opportunity to focus on an Infusionsoft.com or any other publisher that has just a big email distribution, I mean that's definitely the way to do it.
And thinking about I kind of hit on this a couple times, but it is something to definitely reinforce. When you're thinking about that initial CPC, always keep in mind that you're paying for somebody to open the ad, not click through to the landing page. And so you might find that your conversion rates from the initial click down to the opt-in or whatever the conversion goal you have set up, it may only be 1%. You might be used to getting 10% conversion rates, but from the initial click, it's going to be much lower. It's going to be, I mean, the range we see is about 4 or 5% down to 0.5%, and so it's going to be a lot lower than you expect. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to bid lower, and the good thing is that you can. I mean, you can get. I mean, we've seen campaigns that essentially have a 7 or 8 cent CPC that still do a decent amount of traffic. Now the bid set may be 20 cents, but the actual cost per click is about 7 or 8 cents. Whereas on the display network, that might be 50, 60 cents, and on the search network, it might be $3, $4. And so the conversion rate from the initial click is low, but you can set your bids low enough with enough traffic to actually make that work.
But yeah, I mean, the main number to focus on, in Gmail sponsor promotions, because if someone sees a 1% or 2 or 3% conversion rate, well, that may not be attractive. But with the sheer with how cheap it is to target it right now, I mean that's going to equal a cheaper lead even at 1, 2, 3% conversion rate than probably what you're getting now with any other ad platform.
Exactly. Yep. Going on to ad best practices. Um, when we were showing the example of um, I'll go back to it, the actual kind of when you're building the ad, the two things here that we're going to talk about. One is the logo, where you can kind of see that sold sign with a house behind it, and then below that is the advertiser where it says cash for homes. Those don't actually have to be your logo, and they don't actually have to be your company name. When we run ads for ourselves, our company name is Site Traffic Control. The advertiser field is actually limited to 15 characters, and I think Site Traffic Control is maybe 18 or 20 characters. So we can't even fit our company name in there. So we actually use, instead of using Site Traffic Control, we use something like Adwords Experts. And you have a limited ability there, but utilize it to catch people's attention. Don't necessarily utilize it to put your company name there. Now, if you want to kind of increase a branding presence, that can help, but just keep in mind that you want to get people interested. You want to get them kind of looking and checking out your ads. So take advantage of those opportunities. Going on a little bit with what we were talking about before about how you're paying when people open your teaser ad. A good way to make sure that you're not wasting clicks is to make sure that the call to action and the messaging in the ad matches up and aligns with what they see in the expanded ad, and then what they're going to see on the landing page. There's no sense in kind of capturing people's attention and having them click, and then they get to the expanded ad. They're like, what is this? I don't care about this. I mean, you want them to kind of have an expectation going in, and you want to make sure you meet that expectation. And by doing so, you're going to ensure that you're not wasting clicks for people to just see your ad there. And this kind of goes in with that as well. Just remember, your goal is to get people to the landing page. It's not to have them open up the expanded ad. It's to get them all the way to the landing page there. And the great thing is that overall your conversion rate might be a little bit low, but people who do hit that landing page, I mean, they are very qualified. You've kind of targeted them very specifically. They've expressed an interest by opening up the ad. You've kind of sold them with that expanded ad. And so when they finally do get to the landing page, they're going to be really, really good prospects, and so you can expect a really good conversion rate. Now, the one case where people may not, you may not necessarily need them go to your landing page is if you're looking to generate phone calls. In that case, make sure the phone number is directly in the expanded ad, because then people can call. They don't have to go to your landing page, and they still can. I mean, don't discourage them from doing that, but make sure that phone number is very prevalent so that they can call in right then and there. And the last one is that it's very surprising, but I do see a lot of big advertisers in these GSP ads that don't even have a button with a call to action. Make sure you have a button, make sure you have a clear call to action, and if applicable, make sure you have a phone number in the ad there.
And I guess it's time now. If you guys have any questions, as we already got a question asking, will you guys send a replay? And so, yeah, absolutely, we'll be sending a replay because I know that it is fairly involved. Kind of to sum everything up, I mean, we went through sort of the minutia of getting the campaign set up, and again, as we sort of framed at the very first, it is a somewhat of a barrier to entry to get the campaign going. But if we want to look at it from a strategic standpoint, and what does this really bring to your company as far as an ad presence? I mean, using that remarketing example that I used earlier. I mean, there's a certain magic inherent in this type of advertising. And I mean, I can speak to that directly. We had someone call us that actually became a client, and they said, "I found you in my Gmail. I don't know what you guys were doing or how you did it, but it was really cool." And after talking to them for a little bit, we brought them on as a client, just because we had a feel for it. I mean, and that magic that imagine the magic that people felt when they started seeing remarketing for the first time. How in the heck is this company following me around? It keeps companies top of mind. You see ads for maybe a set of skis you looked at, or a hotel, or a trip you were considering looking at. I mean, Halloween. My son, we looked at a costume last year, and for every day until Halloween, I saw that exact costume, remarketing. I mean, it's magical, to me, and it's magical to a lot of people. I mean, I understand it, and it's still sort of magical to me. So with this, it's sort of the same thing. It's like I'm in my email. There's no other ads. You don't have to compete. Am I right on that, Adam? Is there competition in that?
Well, that's actually something we didn't really hit on much, but when you see your ad in GSP in Gmail, there's either going to be one ad or there's going to be two ads. But the great thing I mean, technically you're competing against the other ad there, or with the other emails in somebody's inbox. But the great thing is when they open up that ad, you're the only thing they see. They're not seeing, like when somebody's on a website and they just see a display ad. I mean, there's content on the page. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There might be other ads. So there's a lot competing for your attention. And that's why kind of the banner blindness happens so much. And even on the search network, where you are very specifically targeting what they're searching for, they're seeing all the organic ads. They're seeing all the competitor ads. So in this case, when they've kind of hit that teaser and opened up the expanded ad, you are what they see. And so you get a great opportunity to be front and center in front of somebody who's kind of interested in your service or in your product, without the competition of other emails, or without the competition of other advertisers.
So, Adam, I think we're good on questions. If you guys have any last minute, let us know. We're just no pitch. We're not gonna pitch you on anything. Well, okay, I will. A small pitch. We do we do this stuff. We can create campaigns. We do design on it. If you're ever interested, you can find us on our email here, Jordan at Site Traffic Control or Adam at SiteTrafficControl.com. And then if you want to get on my calendar, if you want to get on Jordan's calendar here, you can just go to sitetrafficcontrol.com/schedule and sign up for a time. We'd be glad to talk to you. While, again, we do this, for clients and people that want to engage us. I mean, if it's a situation where you want to do this yourself, you want to take it on, we don't mind spending a few minutes on the phone with you to answer specific questions. I mean, we're still at a point, with the size of our company that, we don't mind jumping on with you. So if you have any questions about anything we talked about in kind of in a more specific manner, we'd be glad to jump on at either one of these email addresses, myself or Adam, and then just sign up to if you want to talk to me specifically at sitetrafficcontrol.com/schedule. Adam, I really appreciate it. You have shown your vast knowledge for sure.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I understood all of it, so I might need to rewatch it as well. But yeah, this has been great, and everybody that jumped on, we really appreciate you. A, being on our list, B, caring enough to hear what we have to say, because it's a big deal for us. It's a big deal for us. So we really appreciate it. To preview sort of our next webinar, which will happen in about a month-ish, when we're well into fall. We're going to hit on at some point here soon a product that's still in beta that Google is trying out right now. It's something that we've been asked about a lot. And I don't want to go into great detail because we don't know everything about it either. But it's going to give us the option of loading email lists into Google and being able to advertise to that email list. So if we think about how powerful that is on Facebook, well, Google is going to completely change the game if this works out like they want it to. I mean, Adam, am I accurate in sort of describing that, do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's actually something that has been in beta and is just now kind of rolling out. So it's not available to everyone, but it is slowly kind of rolling out. So by the time we talk about it next time, everyone should be able to do it.
Yeah, and if not, we'll come up with something to talk about. So, guys, we appreciate it. Thanks for attending, and we will see you in roughly a month.